We're going to talk today about one of the most controversial, maybe even debated things that everybody talks about Moe Norman is his grip and hand position. Hey, it's Todd Graves. Welcome to the channel today. I don't know if there's any more talked about discussion than when we discussed the grip and how Moe held the golf club. Now, I've tried to clarify this hundreds of times. I want to say thousands of times, I'm not sure, but I seem to get into this discussion about Moe's hand position. Now, here's where it all kind of lays itself out, and then we'll talk about the grip and what I think is very, very important to how the hands are simply just clamps on the golf club. But you can't just talk about the clamps because they're attached to the body. We're going to get into all this today. But one of the things I want you to understand is that Moe Norman played with an overlapping hand position his entire professional career. He won every tournament that he played with an overlapping position. Now, people call that the Varden grip. I don't call it the Varden grip. Whether you overlap or 10 finger, there's very little nuance to doing it well. We'll talk some about that. But people make a big deal about this. And they call it baseball. And by the way, a baseball grip is when the thumb is on the side. Moe never had the thumb to the side of the club. So people tend to call 10 finger baseball. Moe never had a baseball grip. He either had an overlapping hand position or a 10 finger hand position, but there's very little difference to that, and I'm just putting that out there if you do it correctly, but people get it so wrong so often. We've got to talk about it. But I don't want it to be the most important topic that we discuss when it comes to hands, because orientation, how the hands hold the club, how you clamp them on there, and how the club is able to work through its angles and the club face angles are very important. And people tend to get really caught up in how the club is being held, and they ignore club face, and they start ignoring, are the hands working correctly during the swing? That's what I want to talk about today. But here's where we got to kind of go with this conversation, is these are clamps. They hold the golf club. And I'm going to put my hands on there, what I would consider really in a good position. You can see if I hold it like this, that looks different than if I hold it like that. I'm not changing my hands. Look, notice the club face. I can hold it like this and like this. And you're going to look at my hand position, and you're going to see very different looking hand positions. And why are you seeing it look so different? Because I'm changing the orientation of my arms. So I can have the same grip, and you could say, well, Todd, that looks like a strong grip with your lead hand right there. And all of a sudden now it looks like a weak grip when I do that. See how the hand's now it looks like a weaker position. And just to define this, weak is always when you see rotation this way, strong is when you see rotation this way. So camera angles, the way you view things, how you see them, all these things play a factor in when people talk about the grip position. So I could sit here like this, which I would consider a really good grip. You would say, Todd, that's a strong grip. But then you look here and I have my hands too low. I put it into a single plane position, and now I have a neutral lead hand. Again, I get in these conversations all the time with people, and it always tends to be a little bit out of context because they're asking grip questions, but I can't see their body position, I can't see their arm position, I can't see the club face position, so it's very hard to discuss grip. The second part to this is whether it sits into the palm of the hand or into the fingers. Moe never had the club in the palm of the lead hand. This would be purely in the palm of the hand, and it's not you don't want it in the palm because I can't form an angle. Moe clearly, look at a video of Moe swing, has a nice angle at the top. You can see this nice angle, and you can sometimes even see the club sticking out and see this angle. The only way to get that angle is to have it in the proper part of the hand to get that angle. So he never had it truly into the lifeline palm of the hand. Again, a debatable thing because what are you calling the palm of the hand? Now you can say, well, Todd, his trail hand was in the palm, and that's not necessarily true. I have plenty of videos from this angle where you can clearly see that his thumb, this thumb position, is tucked into his hand, and you can clearly see that his palm is not on the club. Here's what it comes down to. It comes down to orientation, because if I'm standing here like this, and my body is tilted correctly, and the hand is holding the club, the fingers are holding the hand into this heel pad, and this hand comes in here, notice how my right shoulder is lower, it orients the arm into a rotation, and now I have an underhanded grip. And some people call that a strong grip. But again, I'm not calling that strong because if I put the hand like this, it doesn't look strong anymore. It looks only strong because of the orientation of my upper body. So come over here and stand in front, and I want to show you that when what's so radically important to me, and maybe this is radical because the way I discuss this, I don't think you should be gripping the club first. The way instruction has always worked is grip is primary. I don't agree with that. And the reason I don't agree with that is number one, because of years and years of instruction where I've been teaching people how I see incorrect hand positions. And here's what happens when you have incorrect hand positions. Let's say, for example, that I don't do this correctly. Let's say I get it too weak in this hand and too weak in this hand. It affects club face. Now the face is open. So now, because of improper hand position, because of the orientation and rotation of the arms and hands, the face is open and you start swinging. Well, you hit them to the right, so you start rotating. So you start building in all these compensations and movements in your golf swing because of improper hands. And it really wasn't improper hand position, it was that you didn't know how to orient your body to get the club to be square at impact throughout the entire swing. One of the things that you'll see, and one of the beautiful things about Moe, is his address position looks very much like his impact position. You see his lead arm is higher, you have this alignment of the arm, and then the trail arm is lower. That is very similar to impact, right? Here's address, here's impact. So because Moe's orientation at address is very similar to his orientation at impact, you now have a very good indication of what is the hand orientation should be. All right, so watch this for just a second. So if I have my lead arm, I recommend this. I recommend tilting and putting the lead arm into its position first, and then notice how my shoulder came down. I then bring the trail hand in, fingers wrap around, and then grab the thumb. And so now you see both hands are in the proper orientation to get to impact. So I'm gripping the club in a impact orientation. Now, there's some things I look for in that position. The reason I want the tilted address is because it's putting the arm into its range of motion. Notice that that's the impact position of my arm because it's reaching a range of motion where it's a full range. Notice if I lose my tilt, the range of motion, back up a step, sorry. If my club face is oriented correctly with my arm and hand in that square, then the back of my hand orients with the club face. I think we would all agree with that. So the back of my hand determines where the club is square. That's why I always tell people, you can't just look at somebody's hand position, you have to look at their club face position as well. So now when I get the back of the hand oriented and I grip the club, this trail hand is underneath, and now I have a really nice, and watch this swing here, I have a really nice orientation. So orientation is everything, because if you notice in that swing, when I came back, I just lined up the back of the hand again because of tilt. I could line up the back of the hand to the target, and this is called side bend, and that side bend squares the face. So my point to that is that the orientation of the body, which means the tilt, affects the hand position. And if you get it wrong, now you have to change orientation of the body and you fight club face. But I want to talk about something else too that is personal to me, because this was a big factor in my becoming, kind of reaching the next level of my ball striking. It was club face angles. When I first learned from Moe, I had a very oriented, strong lead hand. This was kind of my deal. You know, everybody's kind of got their thing that they struggle with. Well, when I first met Moe, I had a strong lead hand position. Well, what that really means is I had an orientation of the face that was closed. So I'd get to the top of the swing and the face angle would be closed like this. And so what happened is I would have to orient my body into a holding position a lot going into impact. I could play some pretty good golf. I won a couple tournaments. I led a couple tournaments going into the final round. But here's what happened. The more I sped up my swing, so when you get under pressure, you start speeding up and you start getting nervous and things speed up. And here's the thing about that. I don't recommend that when you get under pressure that you should try to slow down, because you need to let your natural energies kind of work. You need to have a great golf swing when you're under pressure, because when you speed up, it still needs to be good. And when my swing would speed up, I would rotate the face. And I remember hitting 2 shots. I lost 2 tournaments going into the last 3 holes, hitting it left. And it wasn't like, oh, I should have been better at holding the club off. It was like I had this mistake in my swing. I had this orientation that was off. So the minute that I took that hand and I put it over here in the proper orientation of the hand, you started seeing this. I started seeing the club face plane. And so now it really made it hard for me to hit it left. I eliminated the left side of the golf course. That's a big deal for becoming a good ball striker, is eliminating one side or the other. Now, I'm not saying you should do it through patterning. I think your golf swing naturally should eliminate one side of the golf course. So again, let me just kind of wrap this up by saying there's a couple things that are very important about your hand position, and you should start with body position first. You should orient the body and then get the lead arm orientation correct, then bring the trail hand in. Now, before I get into more of that, keep in mind that I'm not doing this every shot in the golf course. This is something that I've learned to do, and I'll kind of show you my routine when I hit a shot. This is something I've learned to do because it's just, I make sure my body is oriented before I even go into my address position. But when you're practicing, just orient your body first, set your lead arm and lead hand, then set your trail arm, and now you'll have a great club face to square up at impact. When I'm on the golf course, my routine would look something like this. I'm hitting down, like I say, I pick my target line. I would come in and watch what I do when I set up. I orient my body first, then I set in. See, I'm oriented, my upper body, then I set in, get comfortable, and then swing. So you're seeing that its body orientation is primary to hand position. That's a big deal. That's why I don't talk grip first. That's why I think it's a major, major mistake that golf instructors are teaching you hand position first without teaching you how to put the body in position at address. Hope you're enjoying the content. If you're a single point golfer, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon. I'll see you in the next video.